Hello Cancer, and welcome to my channel Tarot by Gabrielle. This is going to be a general reading for Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus signs, looking at your connection to the person that you are dealing with and needing to learn the most from right now. We are looking at all three sides of the connection, so we've got your energy toward it, their energy toward it, and the energy in between it, the concept being that there are three sides to every story. So we are looking at your version of the truth, their version of the truth, and this higher level unbiased truth in the middle. This middle section is looking at what is the deeper purpose of this connection and what is the best way for you to move forward in order to align further with your higher self. As I do in all of my readings, I've pulled the overall energy and clarified those messages as well as the overall theme for the reading, which we'll jump into in just a second, but I still have a different tarot deck we'll be diving into for each side of this connection, as well as an advice deck that I'll be using to close out the reading in the extended. Any information on the extended reading or on booking a personal reading with me is in the description box below. Last thing, please remember that these are general readings. They are not here to resonate fully for everyone, so they won't resonate fully for everyone. So please remember to take what does resonate and helps your personal situation and leave what does not. On that note, these energies can be swapped, so the whole reading can be reversed. If that's the case for you, just know that's totally fine and totally normal. Again, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Last thing, please stay tuned at the end of this video for an exciting announcement. All right, Cancer, on your side of this connection, you have divine timing with the Temperance in reverse. I feel like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, Cancer. You are frustrated. I feel like you're frustrated that you are not where you want to be in your love life. I feel like you're frustrated that you haven't received the love that you deserve. I feel like you're frustrated that you've put in so much effort and it feels like it hasn't amounted to anything. And I feel like you're very justified in your frustration. However, you do have this divine timing card. So the universe is asking you to trust that things are playing out in divine timing for you. Even if, I overall just feel like what you need to know is that everything is working out in a way that might even be better than you think. Now, this person has leave your fears behind with the Hermit in reverse. So this person in particular that you're dealing with, actually, the card says they leave your fears behind. They are stopping this relationship from blossoming. And then obviously you have this Hermit in reverse. I feel like you're either dealing with a person or you continue to deal with people who pull back their energy when when you start to get close. I definitely feel like that's something you dealt with this person. I feel like maybe you kind of came into this connection with unconditional love and, putting in the effort, and it kind of spooked this person and caused them with the Hermit in reverse to just completely withdraw their energy from this connection, which leaves you very frustrated because in your mind, you're like, I'm just doing the best I can. I'm showing up the best I can in this connection or in other connections, and it just feels like no matter what I give, the other person isn't either willing to accept or reciprocate it. But then in between this connection, you have new love with the Magician. And this new love card says a new chapter begins, whether it is with a new partner or in a current relationship. So what you need to know is a new beginning in your love life is manifesting. The more that you step into your power with this power card here. So I actually feel like this is very much about a reading about a connection that has pushed you to step into your power. And the more that you have stepped into your power and the more you continue to do that, the more you actually create the love that you've been looking for all along. So that's just the overall energy. So let's get some details on the story here, Cancer. Let's start with your side. You have divine timing with the Temperance in reverse. This is for Cancer side of this connection. Let's do one more. All right, Cancer side of the connection to the person they're dealing with. Okay. So I feel like this connection, this is a past connection. This is a connection that has ended, but this person is still very much in your energy. Now, the hard part about this, Cancer, is I feel like you're very much holding on to what things could have been in this connection or what you believe they could be if this person would, leave their fears behind. Because I very much get the feeling that this is one of those connections where things were going very well, things are maybe rolling along smoothly, and then this person gets spooked, pulls back their energy, and it kind of leaves you going, what the hell? And so I feel like since this has all kind of taken place and things have ended, it's been hard for you to kind of let go of, like I said, what could have been here. And it's kind of kept you stuck in a cycle here with the World card. But let's get a little bit more for you. I want to know more. This is Cancer's side of the connection. Because yeah, there's just this frustration that like you're like, man, things could have or could be so good if, you know, things would have played out differently, or if this person would just, you know, leave their fears behind, whatever the case might be. This connection has brought up a lot of like insecurity for you, a lot of insecurity, a lot of fear. This energy very much of like, you know, feeling like this person maybe not choosing you or walking away from this or forcing you to have to walk away from this has you kind of second guessing your own value in a way, second guessing what it is that's possible for you. And I feel like that's where a lot of the frustration comes from, is there is this doubt that you're ever going to receive the love that you truly deserve, because I feel you kind of keep getting let down. Definitely by this person, maybe by people in the past, maybe it's by this person over and over again. But with this Four of Cups, it's the universe's way of saying you're not seeing things clearly. You're not seeing what this connection is actually showing you. I actually just saw something before I started this reading, and I was like, oh, I like that. But I feel like it actually is very applicable to this reading. And it was basically just this concept of we have a tendency to take people's choices personally, you know, what they choose to do, and we start to look at their choices as a reflection of our value. And it said, what if, like, think about it this way, what if you gave this person, you know, diamonds, you just gave them diamonds, and then they took those diamonds and they threw them in the trash, they got rid of them, and they treated them as if they were nothing. You wouldn't question the value of the diamonds, you would wonder why that person chose to throw away something so valuable. So how come when you show up with so much value in connections and people throw that away or treat it like it's nothing, you start to question your value? And I really like that, because I feel like that is so common in our connections that kind of don't work out, or especially if there's like a karmic cycle involved. And that's a lot of what stepping into your power is about, is where you no longer give other people the power to determine your value. Because when we're dealing with connections that don't choose us or don't value us, it has nothing to do with the reflection of what we can have or what we're capable of. It has to do with their projection of their own fear, their own insecurities, and how that's directly affecting us. So I do feel like one of the biggest reasons that you're holding on to this so tightly is you're like, there's this part of you that is wondering, like, what about me could have been different to make this person, you know, want to leave their fears behind and invest fully in this connection. You know, what could I change about myself that would make this person value me more? And I feel like that's the hardest, like, think about that diamond example. You know, you can't make a diamond more valuable than it already is. If they're throwing away something that's valuable and you give them more and they've already shown that they're going to throw it away, they're just going to continue to discard it. Now, maybe this person lives under a rock and doesn't understand the value of a diamond. Maybe they don't believe that they're worthy of this value that you have to give them. Maybe they don't know what they have until it's gone. You know, whatever the case might be, that has no reflection on you at all. But I do feel as if this connection kind of brought a lot of those feelings to the surface for you. These questioning, like, am I good enough? Will I ever be good enough? Am I ever going to have what I deserve? You know, I obviously you have a lot of value and you bring a lot of value to the table. So why is that not being recognized? I feel like is the question you're kind of asking yourself. All right, Cancer side of the connection. Ooh. Okay. Okay. One of the things that this connection has kind of made you feel, well, okay, because this Empress in reverse energy is an energy of sacrificing your needs, your value, your desires for the sake of the connection. And the more that you've sacrificed your needs and desires and value for the sake of the connection, the more conflict was created. Because I feel, we often have a tendency to sacrifice our needs or our value for the sake of a connection whenever we expect that that's going to eventually lead to the connection becoming what it is that we're looking for. So we think, okay, if I show up in this connection with unconditional love, regardless of what this person gives me. And I just continue to do that over and over and over again, regardless of how they treat me, regardless of how they show up. Eventually, they're going to see what how valuable I am and what value I add to their life. And then they're going to show up in the same way. We get in our heads that the more that we give, the more that we prove that we're valuable, the more that they will reciprocate. But then that doesn't happen, and that starts to drain us, and it starts to take away from our worth, and it starts to take away from our energy. And one of the biggest things you have to remember is givers have a limit. There's only so much energy you can give. Takers don't have a limit. They can take as much as they want because they're not you can add to your energy as much as you want, but you can only give so much because you only have so much energy to give. So what I'm getting at with this, kind of just overall message here is that you were never required to sacrifice your needs or your value to prove to anyone that you are valuable. You bring someone diamonds and they don't see the value of those. It's not, and they throw them away. It wasn't ever your responsibility to bring them this long list of why these diamonds are valuable. If this person doesn't recognize what they have and they discard something, because they don't see the value in it, that's not on you. That doesn't decrease the value of the diamonds. That doesn't decrease the value of what you have to give. It just means you're dealing with someone that isn't able to see that value. And I think that, so much of the time, we take other people's inability to see our value as an opportunity to prove our value, and we try to prove it over and over and over again through overgiving and overextending ourselves and showing up again regardless of how we're treated, thinking that that's going to change things. And when it doesn't change things, we then start to second guess ourselves, and we start to go, why am I not good enough? How come no matter, nothing that I do is good enough? And it's because if someone isn't recognizing your value, giving them more isn't going to make them see the value. I don't know. I know that I've said that a couple of times. I just feel like that's such a large message associated with this connection, and just in general, how we step into our power. When you recognize that you are who determines your own value, not other people, and you recognize that other people not seeing your value is no indication of your value, you get a little bit more protective of your energy, and you start to recognize that your energy is a privilege, and whoever gets to experience that energy, it should be a privilege to them, and they should treat it as such. Now, the other way around too, right? I'm not saying it's just a privilege to know you and love you, and not to be able to have that, to come from that same place when you're dealing with someone else, because that would create a different kind of imbalance. But what I'm getting at is when you step into your power, you know what you're deserving of, and you're not looking for anybody else to prove that to you. So anybody who doesn't see what you're deserving of and can't show up for that, you're able to decide, okay, I've got to create distance in this connection because this isn't what I deserve. And when you do that, you let go of things that don't align with you, which opens up your energy to what you can attract. And I feel like that is the process that is taking place in this connection, which is actually really cool, because that means that connection is actually leading you to what it is that you desire. But let's see what they're dealing with. Although I have this feeling that you don't really care, but let's see what they're dealing with. Leave your fears behind with the Hermit in reverse. Maybe you do, but regardless, I feel like it's important to the overall kind of story here. So let's see, what is this person's energy toward Cancer? Okay. 8 of Cups, Magician in reverse. I feel like this person walked away from this, or you, because of how they were acting or because of their behavior, you walked away from this. Either way, I feel like you don't feel like you had a choice. It kind of feels like this person's behavior is kind of what led to either them walking away, or obviously, or you feeling like you have to walk away. Now with the Magician in reverse here, this is this energy of saying that this person didn't have the tools necessary, whether that's emotional availability or emotional awareness or whatever the case might be, to be what it is that you desire. Now, whether or not they were able to recognize that is one thing. I feel like, it's obvious with the leave your fears behind and the Hermit in reverse that this person got spooked by this connection. You probably, obviously you showed up with unconditional love, wanting to make this work, kind of being willing to do what it took to make this work, and this person probably didn't understand how to accept that, certainly not reciprocate it, and so the easiest thing for them to do was to recoil, to pull back their energy, to protect themselves from the potential of getting hurt instead of opening themselves up to the possibility of experiencing what it is that you have to provide here. So I do feel like they were the ones that kind of pulled back their energy here, which kind of left you going, again, probably brought up all of these insecurities and fears of how come this was not, what I had to give wasn't enough. How come the value of my diamonds wasn't enough for them? And it's not the value of what you had to give. It's not that wasn't enough. It's that this person didn't know how to accept it. This person's energy toward Cancer. Very stubborn personality here with the Seven of Wands and then this Death in reverse. It feels like this person, and then you have the Moon in reverse with the Nine of, I actually feel like, it's the Moon and the Nine of Wands. This person doesn't want to change. And I feel, in order for you to receive what it is that you deserve in this connection, this person would need to change. They'd need to open up. They'd need to let go of control. They'd need to learn how to be emotionally aware, whatever the case might be for you. And it feels like they don't want to change. Now, sometimes we can take that personally. We can say, how come this person doesn't want to change so that they're capable of loving me in the way that I deserve? Well, in order for people to grow and evolve and open up to love, they have to face really uncomfortable truths about themselves. If you've been going through a spiritual journey, then you completely understand that. You have to learn how to face your shadow, how to face your fears, how to love and accept yourself regardless of insecurities. Learn that you're deserving of love. And all of those things are really difficult. The payoff is amazing, but the actual process is hard. And it's a lot easier for human beings to choose a familiar hell over an unfamiliar heaven. And so it feels like what this person prefers is kind of the isolation of not letting people get too close because it's what's familiar for them. It's what's easier for them. And if they don't want to change, and if they didn't want to make the decision to change, it doesn't necessarily, it doesn't mean you should try to see why they should, if that makes sense. Because I think so much of the time we'll be like, oh, but if you change, look at all of this amazing, things that you could experience or we could experience in this connection. But this person, it kind of feels like they're digging their feet in and they're saying, I don't want to change. I don't want to grow. I don't want to evolve. And that's kind of their own personal journey, and where you have to realize that has nothing to do with you, nothing to do with your value, nothing to do with what you're capable of experiencing. And you don't want to give your power away to people to say, I need you to grow, or I need you to change, or I need you to love me in order for me to experience that. Because no one holds the key to you being able to experience what you deserve and desire in love. See, that's what's so confusing about this person's energy, because here's the Five of Cups, Three of Cups in reverse. They obviously withdrew. They created the distance here. And then I feel like with this Five of Cups, they're sad about it. They're upset about it. I don't know if they're necessarily being all that rational about their decision makings. It could very well be just coming from a place of just emotional reaction over intentional response to their reality and to kind of their fears being triggered. I just feel like this person feels as if they're better off alone. And I don't mean the kind of alone where they don't have any friends or they're not surrounded by people, but in terms of kind of being alone in a crowded room, not letting anybody get too close, keeping people at a distance. Now that's going to come from a past of pain, a past of being hurt, trust issues, inability to let people in, all that stuff this isn't your burden. that you can't change, that you can't fix, and that you don't have to accept the behavior of, like the results, the behavior that results from those experiences. You know, unconditionally loving someone, and this is where people get confused. Unconditionally loving someone and having empathy for what they've been through is one thing. Tolerating behavior and allowing someone to treat you a certain way or accept, you know, bare minimum love or bare minimum treatment because of the things that they've been through is something entirely different. And that is where you're loving someone unconditionally, but lacking that same unconditional love for yourself. Unconditional love does not equal unconditional tolerance. You can understand why someone is the way that they are and show up loving them, but also protect yourself in the process by setting boundaries or creating distance or whatever the case might be. That's where your power lies, because you have the power to create the love that you deserve. I wish that I could shout that from the rooftops. You are capable of experiencing the love that you deserve, but it's going to come from you understanding that nobody else determines that. You do, and you have to be willing to determine that for yourself, regardless of other people's decisions. Makes sense. Okay. Cancer, let's get a little bit more here. Cancer's side of this connection to the person they are dealing with. All right. I like this. This is acceptance. And I feel like this is kind of, you know, I started out kind of talking about you holding on to this connection, holding on maybe to what it could be. And I don't think maybe some of you are, but I don't feel like all of you are in that place anymore. I feel like you've done a lot of healing and a lot of growth where you've gotten to the point of being like, yeah, that was a disappointing experience, but maybe you're at a place where you're like, I accept that it had to happen, or I see why it had to happen, or you're starting to recognize that maybe it wasn't, you know, maybe the potential of it wasn't possible. You know, I think that that's one of the best things I ever learned is that when we stop trying to get people to see our point of view and we start validating our own experience and our own emotions, we stop trying to change people to be something that they're not, and we allow ourselves to kind of let go when we need to let go and accept when we need to accept, which opens up our energy to all of the things that we've been looking for in the first place. And so I feel like you've done a lot of healing. I mean, it's obvious that this connection affected you, like, very deeply. And I feel like that's maybe why you held on for so long, is because you were like, I just know that it could be so good, or I know it could have been so good. And, you know, maybe not understanding why would someone just take diamonds and throw it in the trash like that, and trying to understand, you know, why your diamonds weren't good enough. You know, did I not polish them enough? Were they not big enough? You know, what was it? And the fact of the matter is that it had nothing to do with the value of the diamonds. It had everything to do with being able to recognize that, like I've said a million times. And so I feel like I like this energy for you. It's obvious that you're disappointed, and you have a right to be, because I feel like you had high hopes for this. You saw, you know, everything it could be, but you're also recognizing, I feel more and more, and the more you step into your power, you're kind of recognizing that, you know, this person should never have had the power to decide your value, if that makes sense. All right, Cancer side of the connection to the person they are dealing with. I really like that diamond example, and I feel like I definitely came across that right before this reading, like, for a reason, because it's heavily applicable to this energy. Cancer side of this connection. There's the Fool in reverse. Okay. So there is a new beginning. New love, magician, there's a new beginning here. But I feel that the hardest thing in creating a new beginning for ourselves in love and in our life in general is acceptance of what's been lost. And understanding that what is meant for us will never pass us. And I feel like that is the biggest thing the universe wants you to see with this reading is, yes, this connection ended. Yes, you might have saw potential. Yes, things could have been really, really good if this person decided to change or grow or heal or whatever the case is. But if this connection is past you, it means that it was not meant for you. And if it is meant for you, it will come back in a time when it is able to meet your needs. But you do not have to wait for that to happen in order for you to receive love. I think that that's the thing that I have the most, like, I got a bit of a bone to pick with this whole twin flame concept. And if you've heard me talk about it on my channel before, you kind of understand what I'm saying, because it glorifies this idea that we need somebody else to heal in order to receive this deep level of love that is not able to be experienced anywhere else. And that could not be further from the truth. You know, the purpose of those connections is to learn to love yourself deeply, because the more deep you love yourself, the more you're going to attract people into your life that reflect that back to you. And so regardless of what this person does, this connection is pushing you into your power, to seeing your value, to seeing what you bring to the table, to believing that you're deserving of the love that you desire, regardless of who it comes from, because it does not matter who it comes from, because it's going to be a reflection of the love that you are creating for yourself. And so understand that if this connection has passed you, it does not mean that you need it. Okay? I think that sometimes we believe that when we feel a potential of something so deeply, that we think that that is the only path to getting what it is that we desire and deserve, and that is never true. There are always so many different paths. The opportunities for us to have what it is that we deserve and desire is always ahead of us. And the more that we learn to look at it as a mirror of what we need to learn in ourselves and what we're needing to see about, if someone didn't choose us, how are we not choosing ourselves? If someone didn't value us, how are we not valuing ourselves? When we look at it as a mirror, we open ourselves up to a much different perspective. All right, one more for Cancer side of this connection. I think what you're needing to know is that with where this connection is at, where it was at, it didn't have the ability to be what it is that you deserve. Because I do get a little bit of the feeling, and this might not be from all of you, but I get this feeling that you're wondering what you could have done differently, or how you could have been different, or how you could have been better, or more, again, kind of like how your diamonds could be more valuable. And I think what we have to learn is people are going to throw away, people who throw away diamonds are going to throw away diamonds. And when we're dealing with someone who, is just not willing to do because I'm a firm believer in the fact that I think any two people on this planet can make it work in a connection and can have a lasting, happy, fulfilling relationship, as long as both people are willing to do the work to make that happen. Both people have to be open to growth. Both people have to be open to self-reflection and open to, vulnerability. And if you are not dealing with two people who are able to do that, then the connection is going to be imbalanced and it's not going to be sustainable for the long term. So this connection might be what you desire, but what you desire is not what you deserve. And I feel like some of you need to really understand that from the perspective of you can have what it is that you desire and deserve, but the desiring of someone who isn't capable of giving you what you deserve is not what you deserve. Yeah, okay. So let's get a little bit more on them. Although I feel like this reading is way more about you than it is them. This person's energy toward Cancer, please. Person's energy toward Cancer. There's a complete lack of communication coming from this person. I feel like especially the Three of Pentacles in reverse, it feels like the pieces never fell into place in this connection because there was never... Communication is such a foundation for any connection in any form. And if you are, and it kind of goes back to what I was saying, in order for two people to make a connection work, both people have to be willing to do the hard stuff, right? One of those things is be both willing and capable of communication. For the longest time, I felt like if I communicated my needs and my values and, I was willing to say how I felt, that meant that the communication and the connection was good. But communication is a two-way street. And if you're dealing with someone who doesn't have the ability to self-reflect and take a look at kind of, be able to accept communication without defensiveness and things of that nature, then there's never going to be a connection deeper than the surface. And so what I'm getting at is I don't feel like this person ever really communicated with you. They might have spoke to you, but I don't feel like there's any communication coming from them. And that's one of the biggest reasons the pieces in this connection never fell into place. It feels like they've held back from the beginning. Not necessarily because they wanted to, because I do feel again, they're sad, they're upset, they're disappointed that this didn't work. But at the same time, I feel like they recognize that this connection would require them to open up, be vulnerable, grow, heal, whatever the case is, and they don't want to do that. They don't want to change. And that's on them. That's not on you. It's like this connection pushes them further than they want to be pushed. And that's no, that doesn't mean that you're asking for too much by any means. It just means that you're we're looking for it from someone who wasn't capable of it, like we just talked about. This person's energy toward Cancer. See, look at that. This connection brings up fears and insecurities for them too. It's just being handled in two very different ways, because there's the Hermit in reverse. They start to feel insecure. They start to feel not good enough. They start to feel, incapable of what this connection requires of them, and they pull back. And then when they pull back, you start to feel insecure, so you overinvest. And that's where you kind of get that chaser-runner dynamic. And so I feel like, I can't say this enough. The more that you recognize that this person's behavior, their actions, their decisions, their choices, it doesn't have anything to do with your value or what you can experience in love. I don't care if you believe that they are your soulmate, your twin flame, whatever the case is. There's never one connection that we have to have in order to receive the love that we deserve. Those connections can have a deep purpose in our life. They can get us to see that we need to love ourselves more and accept ourselves more and kind of create this union of self, which is the most important part. But that doesn't mean that we need to attach ourselves to the idea of the connection working in order to experience the love that we have in mind, that we're looking for in that connection. That's why you have the divine timing. That's why you have stepping into your power, new love. Like, the love that you are deserving of is absolutely possible, and you can have it. I feel like there's this need to focus more on what this connection not working is teaching you, as opposed to what you need to do to make it work. This person's energy toward Cancer, please. Okay. I talk about this a lot, how 95% of our movements, choices, and decisions stem from our subconscious. Only 5% of the way we interact with our reality is conscious level decision making. I feel like this person is kind of dealing with that 95 versus 5%, because I do feel like 5% wants what it is you have to provide in this connection, but the 95% of them doesn't feel deserving, capable, whatever the case might be. And so they're reacting, pushing it away, walking away, closing the door on it, retreating, because even though they desire it, they don't know how to handle it. They haven't done the healing. They don't have the emotional awareness. And I feel like, that emotional unavailability that this person has, you have to learn that that's not something you can change. I think that a lot of people go into connections with emotionally unavailable people wanting to change that and wanting to change them because they think that that will make them, that'll prove to them that they're special, that they're lovable, that they're deserving, whatever the case is. And that ultimately leads to us just being disappointed and feeling, why aren't we good enough? And when we can accept that emotionally unavailable people are emotionally unavailable because of their stuff, not because of anything that we have to do with, then the more that we can step fully into our power and make the best decision for us and say, I deserve more than this. And I'm willing to know that the more I take steps in the direction of knowing that I deserve more than this, the more that I actually create and attract the love that I'm ultimately looking for, which is what this middle section is about. You have new love with the Magician. I'm going to pull 9 different messages looking at the deeper purpose of this connection and the best way for you to move forward in order to align further with your higher self. First, though, before I hop on over to the extended, I have an announcement to make. I posted a video about this a couple of days ago, but I'm going to be talking about this at the end of my readings for the next month. I am hosting a webinar kind of workshop on how to attract the love that you deserve and desire. It'll be a 1-hour Zoom kind of meeting. Sign up is required, and all of the information for that is in the description box below. It's on April 5th at 6 p.m. Central Time. If you can't make it, because I know that a lot of you are all over the world, time zones might conflict. If you purchase a ticket, you will still be able to receive a recording of the workshop afterwards. So there will be a question and answer kind of portion of it. If you can't make that, the actual live workshop, obviously you'll miss out on that, but you'll be able to kind of hear what other people are asking, obviously, in the recording. So any information for that is in the description box below, including the link to purchase tickets. If you have any questions, feel free to comment them, email me. My email address is always in my description box of my videos. So other than that, Cancer, thank you so much, as always, for your support of my channel. I do obviously hope that this reading helped and resonated with you in a way that you were needing today. And as always, Cancer, I wish you nothing but love and healing on your journey moving forward. All right, bye, Cancer.